Hello, and welcome back to our Save a Seat series here on Patreon, where we dig deeper with our contributors, with guests, and with people that we hold close to our heart here at More. So, we are continuing our Women's History Month series this month. It is very important for us here at More to celebrate Women's History Month and acknowledge all of the women that celebrate us and that have led the path for us to be able to do the things that we do today. So last week we dug deep into technology and how it's so important for women to continue to pursue roles in those STEM areas. And we're kind of continuing that mindset this week by talking about financial literacy and independence with Nicole Woodson and Kat Hickey. So ladies, thank you so much for joining me again.
Thank
Yeah, happy to be
you.
here.
We talked about a lot of great stuff on the Spotify episode. So if you are listening to this and you haven't listened to the Spotify episode, go check that out first and then you can come on back. But we're talking about how important financial literacy and independence is, especially for women that may have not gotten the education when they were young or may just be starting out on their financial independence journey. But I want to ask you both, have there been women in your life that have inspired you to pursue financial literacy, financial independence, to work in this field? Or at least even to just talk about it?
Yeah, I would say for me, I had aunts that worked in banking. And again, it
Yeah.
was kind of like hindsight, like, oh man, I'm kind of, I'm getting into banking. But I want to say more importantly, my parents, I came from a low income family in a low income community. And so my parents are going to be celebrating 50 years of marriage this year.
Oh,
And
congratulations to
yeah,
them. That's so
they
sweet.
yeah, it's amazing. They got married very young, and so you know that the talk is that money is the reason for divorce. And so my parents, when I asked them, they're like, "Well, we didn't have any money to argue over." So it's kind of like us against the world, So it kind of kept them
Yeah.
together in some phases of their life. And so, but when I graduated high school, I recall my mom graduating from college, and I believe she was getting her associate's degree at the time. Then she went on to get her bachelor's degree. She became an entrepreneur. So growing up, she was a housewife. She had odd and end jobs, but my dad had the full time job, and she knew how to rub pennies together and make them spread, right? And so we grew up. I grew up seeing that, but then at the same time, when she graduated college, she started a daycare. And my mom has a very, very successful daycare with 100+ kiddos,
Wow.
no advertising, no anything. Like it's just her love of kids and then learning the business side and the finances and things. And so to hear my parents talk about their financial freedom and my mom, we have, money conversations periodically now. It's just like so freeing for me as a daughter to see where we came from as a family to where we have evolved to. And I'm just like overjoyed that my parents are in the position that they are in with their financial freedom, and that we were able to watch them to go through it and learn. We didn't always have the conversations when I was coming up, but they were very much examples. Some people are do as I say, not as I do. They were more do as I do kind of people. And so I would have to say my mom and my parents in general, but my mom has really influenced and shaped, just my thoughts about finances and how I maneuver.
Yeah, that's so amazing. I love that she just built something from the ground up, having,
Yes.
no formal experience in that field, but she just knew she could do it, and she did it.
Yeah, from her house, she started at home to now, a brick and mortar and just thriving business.
That's so great, and I bet those kiddos just love her.
Oh my gosh. I mean, they're like big, deep voice boys now. They're like, Mama. She's like, who is this? She's like, I know it's a daycare kid if they're calling
Of
me
course.
Mama.
Right. So sweet. How about you, Kat?
Very similar to what Nicole's saying. My parents started out solidly working class, and then my dad happened into a really great job with lots of stock options, and just income grew over the years. And very much like you're saying, Nicole, too, like lots of do as I do. Not a lot of conversations about money. What I did learn from them very early is like they were always incredibly generous. They would always help out family members. They would always donate to charities. My mom actually ended up starting a charity where she helps kids who have different family situations that couldn't afford college. She pays for their tuition for college. So I've seen
Wow.
so much generosity from my parents, and that's the big thing I learned. And then when I had children of my own, very young, I was pregnant at 21 and suddenly running a household with
Mhm.
a toddler and a baby on the way. And I was very much thrust into this without any knowledge. And I think, my parents did so well navigating it, but didn't do very well narrating it because they didn't know. There was no model for them either. And
Right.
so when I had
Mhm.
my own kids and I'm looking at this going, we had our car repossessed. We almost had our house repossessed. I went home one day with two kids in the car seats and pushed the garage door open, or it didn't go up because I didn't pay the electric bill. I was just a dumb 23-year-old with two kids I was trying to keep alive and knew nothing about money.
Yeah.
And so when I got into my early 30s and was like, I cannot live like this anymore. We cannot be like spending money on the credit card in
Mhm.
the hopes that the cash will be there when the bill comes in. Like, I can't live like this anymore.
Mhm.
We make decent money. I don't know where it goes. And so that's when I found YNAB,
Mhm.
and started entering things and tracking my spending and planning my spending before I actually swiped the card, which was revolutionary for me. Um, and then I was
Yeah.
like, oh, this is the thing I can teach my kids. And my kids are just
Mhm.
their finances are better than mine. They're so good. They're so dialed in. They're so smart with their money. They make such good career decisions. I've got a kid who's a gigging musician and who will look at like, well, this is my hourly rate for this gig, and this is how much it costs me to travel there, and this is how much I enjoy it, and
Wow.
here are all the different levers, and this is the gig that has to go. And they're just so dialed in because they got this education from the very beginning. And we've
Right.
been talking about money without embarrassment, without shame from the beginning. And
Mhm.
I think that makes a huge difference. So I've been inspired on both sides, from like the generosity of my parents and what I didn't get and felt like I needed, to
Mhm.
what I wanted to give to my kids.